got a very special guest joining me to kick it off with. He's a man that's been on the show before. It was 4.5 years ago. He was on the show last time, back when he was at Colorado State. He obviously went on to have, debatably, in my opinion, the best career in Colorado State history. He's now in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings. That's none other than Isaiah Stevens. Isaiah, appreciate you for come back on again, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, first things first, I got to say this. We go back 4.5 years ago when you first came on the show, and you're midway through your college career. Obviously, you accomplished so many great things following that interview, but what would your reaction have been if I would have told you everything you would have accomplished in college, now being a year or two in the NBA? What would your reaction have been if I told you this is what would happen in the next 4.5 years for yourself?
Man, I'd be shocked if I would just be honest. I definitely put a lot of time and effort in, and obviously God has truly blessed me with the position that I'm in. But at the same time, man, you never really know how these things shake out. You definitely have to have a little bit of luck on your side and stay healthy and be in positions that people want to see you succeed. So I'm just truly grateful and thankful for how my career has played out so far to this point.
Going back when I remember at that point in time, you obviously were already being the starting point guard. You're having a great run in college. But did it ever cross your mind? If so, at what point did you start to believe, you know what, I have a chance of fulfilling the ultimate goal and dream of playing in the NBA one day?
I think pretty early on, I was definitely confident in my game, but to the point where I started thinking the NBA, it was probably after my third year when we went on that run with me, David Roddy, John Tonje. We were 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, 25 wins, and obviously being like a true floor general for a team like that, I think gave me a lot of confidence. And then from there on, I'm just trying to polish and critique any flaws or weaknesses that I had in my game at that time, and just try to put my best foot forward each and every night.
All right, so I want to go backtrack a little bit. We're already heading to your high school recruiting process, and coming out of high school, you weren't a guy that a lot of people probably looked at and said, "Okay, this man's going to go to the NBA right away." You're a 3-star recruit. You obviously have some offers on the table. You're going to Colorado State over schools like SMU, Mississippi State. Where were you in terms of a confidence standpoint going back to that point in time? Like, where did you expect your career to go when you were in high school preparing for college?
Yeah, man. I think definitely at that time, it was just all about development,
Right.
getting with a staff and a coach that had a plan for me and how I fitted their system and what they were trying to accomplish. And so going into college, I didn't know if I was going to play a lot early. But one thing they did tell me is everything is open in competition. So if you go out there and you earn it, there will be an opportunity for you, regardless of if you're a freshman or a fifth year senior. And so I appreciated that a lot. And I went in there and just did what I knew how to do, and that was play the game the right way and learn and be open to improving. And it ended up working out in my favor. The rest is history after that.
We look at the amount of things that you've proven people wrong about. One of which is obviously going the mid-major route. You end up becoming an NBA player out of the mid-major route. A lot of people say you have to go high major. Prove them wrong there. Obviously, not the tallest point guard in the world. You still prove people wrong. Made to the NBA. The list not being a top-ranked recruit coming out of high school. You still prove people wrong. How have you had so many things, go throughout your life going against you, against the odds, and yet you still prevail? You still reach the point that you always dreamed of reaching.
Man, it's definitely not on my own doing. I can tell you that, man. The man up above has definitely had his hands on me, provide me just with the people around me who saw something in me and understood that regardless of some of the deficiencies I might have, that I can still play this game at a high level, and there's something there that can help impact winning. So when you just take it for what it's worth and you try to go out there and win and compete and try to just be a great teammate, like so many things tend to bounce your way. It might not be right when you want it to, but
Right.
you continue to stay in the gym and work day after day. Eventually, you'll get thrown a bone every now and then.
All right, so for the guy that's in high school right now, has some college offers, same position as Isaiah Stevens was in, going back 5-6 years ago now, undersized, whatever it might be. What's your advice to them? What is your advice to that kid that's in the very same shoes that you were in going back in time?
Man, I think keep the main thing the main thing. That was something that me and my dad and my family always just kept on preaching within the household. there will always be somebody that's, I guess nowadays, making more money, having more offers, bigger NIL deals with bigger brands. It'll always be somebody. So
Mhm.
when you kind of get out of your own head with that and you just stay focused on improvement, becoming a better person, player, understanding the game better, and being around people that can help you reach your dreams, I think that's the route oftentimes you need to go down. Obviously, everyone is entitled to do what they best feel is important for them and their families. But if I had to give some advice, it would just keep the main thing the main thing. You still get the best opportunities and the most money you could ask for by being good at the game. So try to be good at the game and let everything else take care of itself.
I'm glad you brought up the financial aspect because you got thrown into college basketball and it was right before all this stuff got going. Then you're in the midst of it, and you have the NIL, you have the transfer portal, this whole new era of college basketball that's still rapidly developing as we speak. But you're kind of just going through all these shifting changes happening in your college career. As those things started to come into play, you are this top college point guard. You are somebody I know people would have wanted to have be their point guard at so many schools around the country. What was your thoughts on that? How did you kind of approach saying, you know what, I'm staying at Colorado State. I'm not going to go chase the money, the offers, whatever it might be. What kept you at Colorado State?
So there's a short answer and a long answer. Kind of to help filter some of this out. Like it's hard to play for a coach and find a coach earlier in your career that trusts you
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly. And I had that out the gate with Coach Niko, Coach Ali, Coach Thorson, Coach Blount. Like the list goes on. And they believed in me to run the show and to trust my eyes, trust my instincts, and go out there and be free. And a second thing is we were in a multi-bid league. That was another big thing for me going the mid-major route. Is I wanted to be somewhere where you didn't necessarily have to win the tournament or win the conference to get in.
Right.
You still had opportunities, just like power conferences, to make the postseason without necessarily having to win a championship, even though that's what we're all striving for. And so
Right.
those are some quick key points that kept me there. I love that place, that school. Fort Collins is like a second home to me. But being able to be somewhere where your coaches have full trust in you to be yourself, that's hard to find. And so, whether it's year one, year five, people get sold dreams all the time.
Yeah.
And I genuinely felt like I had everything I needed to be successful at Colorado State.
Now I have to ask you this follow-up question to that. You being, especially your final couple of years, one of the top point guards in all the country, one of the top players in all the country, were there ever schools that were trying to reach out to, whether that be yourself, your parents, managers, whatever it might be, trying to get you to enter the portal and go choose one of those routes?
Absolutely. All the time, man. Especially when you play with so many of these players all over the country in the
Yeah.
summertime and you're working out at different gyms, man. You never know who might walk through some of those doors some days. And I ain't going to air nobody out, but
Right.
they get creative. I will say that. They trying to find your high school basketball coach, your family members, someone who might have played pickup with you a couple months ago. Like it gets crazy. But yeah, there were definitely a few that tried to work their way around, and it was cool in the moment to feel like, oh, okay, maybe there is some other opportunities out there. But when you really sit down and go through the pros and cons, man, I had everything I needed. So.
Was there ever a moment or something you heard about offer-wise that you had to sit down and actually say, okay, is this something I would actually consider? And if so, at what point in your career was that?
Yeah, in college, the year after I spoke about a little bit earlier with David Roddy, John
Right.
Tonje, it was after our junior year, highest NCAA tournament seating in school history, all that stuff. But so many people were leaving after that year. Like I was the only one that returned from our
Yeah.
starting five. And so you're kind of just looking at this turnover in that time of like, man, am I making the right decision? Like
Mhm.
everybody else might be seeing something that I'm not seeing that's making them want to find new opportunities, whether it's professionally, another school, anything. So I really had to sit down and I prayed about it a lot. I thought about it a lot. I asked of other people's opinions, didn't necessarily take everybody's, but just to kind of see how people would view the situation that I was in. But all in all, I think I made the right one.
Right.
But I definitely had to take some time and think about that for a little bit.
All right. So when you did officially decide and say, you know what, I'm going to stick it out, I'm staying at Colorado State. Then at that point in time, what was the final kind of the push that kind of got you over the edge and said, you know what, this is why I'm staying here. I can't leave this, that, or the third. What was that biggest factor that you said you just could not leave Colorado State for?
Man, I think I just wanted to prove that I could take another step in my own development.
Okay.
Obviously, David was our number one option. We played
Yeah.
with him, and rightfully so. He was the player of the year, averaged 20 points,
Yeah.
super efficient, first round draft pick. I could go on and on. But I also just wanted to prove that with more responsibility, I could still have this team playing at a high level. Now, that following year, it didn't necessarily go our way. We battled a ton of injuries,
Okay.
myself, a few other key guys, which I think turned it to even more of a will to come back that following year when we had Nate Clifford and a few other guys to really make a run to finish off our careers. So it was pretty cool.
All right, so last thing I want to ask about the NIL aspect is that I know there's rumors and now we have some reports, some offers. There are some pretty crazy offers that continue to get crazier and crazier each off season. When you talk about it, I can get it. For a lot of guys, I don't know exactly what your situation could have looked like, but for a lot of guys, they see X amount of money, and for them, it could be life-changing money. Obviously, it makes sense. I'm not going to fault someone for that, but as you said, choosing the right opportunity for yourself that puts you in keep the main thing that gets you in the position possibly best for yourself in the future is huge. What's your advice to the guys that are in a similar situation that say, okay, you know what? I could possibly make more money here, but I know it's not the best opportunity for yourself. How would you what would be your advice to the type of guy in that situation?
Right. And it's different for everybody.
Right.
So if you're still trying to play professionally at the NBA level or trying to make your way through the ranks that way,
Mm-hmm.
like you still have to go out there and perform. The money is great. If you can get it, get it. I'm all for the players. You change your life, your family's life, take care of whoever you need to take care of. But at the same time, that isn't going to just give you an easier path to the NBA. Matter of fact, it's probably going to get harder because everyone's getting paid. Everyone's playing at these premier programs. So then, what's going to separate you?
Yep.
You got to continue to work on your game and work on your weaknesses and try to put your best foot forward each and every night. But at the same time, it is hard to say because obviously the numbers are so great, but it's not going to just guarantee you an easy opportunity at the NBA level.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about too that got really controversial and big during your college career was conference realignment. Now ends up impacting Colorado State. Obviously, moving on to the Pac-12 at this point in time. But when you look at that now, what's your thoughts on the new look for how we have schools playing? Some obviously we just had California playing schools like Duke and all these different situations. When you're in these type of situations, what's your thoughts on college realignment and seeing Colorado State specifically now in the Pac-12?
Right. I think for the school itself is great.
Yeah.
We get a chance to move up into a power conference. Obviously, it looks a little bit different than
Hmm.
how it did when we were growing up, but all in all, if we got an opportunity to grow the university and grow the program, I'm all for it. I'm a Rams fan until I die, so anything that can put them in a bigger, better, brighter light, I'm all for it. But at the same time, I think it definitely hurt some of the like regional rivalries.
Hmm.
A lot of teams aren't playing as much anymore because of the conference realignment. Uh, I know we won't necessarily have the same rivalry games every year. They might try to in the non-conference, but some of those games we took so much pride in won't look the
Yeah.
same anymore. It might be bi-yearly, or if it works out in the non-conference, then cool. But you're not playing twice a year, home and home. So it'll be interesting to see, but at the same time, it's definitely different. And there's an aspect to college sports that I think you need some of that, just kind of the regional
Hmm.
competition. I think that's really important. But everything is about the big bucks these days, and everyone's just trying to get the next one. So I get it.
No, it would not have impacted yourself because obviously Colorado State's Pac-12 and Pac-12 is keeping it a little bit more regional than some of these conferences are. But if you were to say, let's say hypothetically, you're on UCLA these days and you're having to travel
Yeah.
from one side of the country to the other over and over again, How difficult would that be? And are you in favor of that? Do you like that idea, or do you feel like it needs to be a little bit more closer than being country to country or side coast to coast?
Yeah, coast to coast is crazy. I don't know how they're doing it. I remember how tired I felt coming back from a late night game in San Diego. So, God forbid you got to come back from St. John's, or not St. John's, but who is it? Rutgers
Rutgers,
in the
yeah, New
Big Ten.
Jersey. Yep.
Rutgers in the Big Ten, and you got to go out to Oregon for a game. Like, come on, man. I'm hearing they're turning it more into like you'll play 2 games when you go out there,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe
You stay like a week out there,
UCLA and
yeah.
Oregon. Yeah, so it won't be so much of a quick turnaround, but all in all, man, they're better than I am. I probably would have been complaining, but yeah, it's definitely crazy to see.
All right, man. Well, I want to go back to when you were talking about a little bit ago, and you talked about your faith aspect, and that's been obviously a huge part in your life, how God's kind of helped get you to where you're at today. I want you to elaborate a little bit on that. Like, how would your relationship with God grown to where it's at today, and how has it helped impact you to get you to where you're at?
Yeah, man, it's definitely been a journey. It's impacted me so great. I wouldn't be where I am without him. Like you said, undersized, not the greatest athlete, but yes, I do have some translatable skills. But to be in the best league in the world and be in a spot that I dreamed about as a kid, like I don't think I could get here on my own.
Hmm.
I just wholeheartedly believe that. Yes, I do work hard and I spend a lot of time on my game, and I've been able to help myself in some ways, but there's so many other players around who are competing for the same thing, but yet somehow, some way, I continue to have my head above water. And so I'm just truly grateful, thankful for the grace and the mercy that He showed me, even when I'm not at my best or not as strong in my word as I need to be, as we drift, as we all do.
Hmm.
And so just continuing to guide me and reel me back in times of need. I'm just truly grateful for every blessing that He's given me and the people that He's allowed me to meet along the way.
At what point in your life would you say was the moment you really took the next step of faith and you walk with Him, or had to really trusted Him the most? When would you say that was?
Actually, probably my 4th year of college, I would say I took a jump. Uh, First major injury I ever suffered. I broke my foot in college before the season started.
Hmm.
This is right after we just had a heck of a run with the team the year before. And I was coming back with a new group, trying to prove that I could just help lead and guide a younger group to the same level of success or even more success than the year before. And just working, and end up breaking my foot. And I was down in the dumps for a while, trying to figure out why this happened to me or what could I have done to prevent it. But sometimes God just needs to sit you down and slow you down and remind you who's in control of the situation. Um, and when you really take a step back and understand that for what it's worth, I think you're okay with the way things shake out in life. So that was probably the moment where I really had to stay diligent in my faith, stay in the word. I was leaning on people more than I ever have, and I'm usually somebody who tries to just stay independent and do it themselves, but I really allow myself to branch out and reach out and understand that it's okay to not always be the best version of yourself. But as long as you keep pushing and keep striving, you'll be just fine.
You also mentioned the patience aspect, and that's the same thing for everybody. At some point in time, it's going to work out. God's got a plan for each and every single one of us, but it's probably not going to be on our time play. So, as you look at your career so far, obviously you said lots of ups and downs, but now you look at it, and obviously you still probably want to accomplish so many more things, but you still look at it. You're in the NBA today. You're going through an NBA training camp, all these different aspects. How important, how have you seen your patience and your ability to kind of wait on God kind of grow over this time span?
Yeah, man. I think it's always tough as a competitor,
Hmm.
somebody who puts in so much time and effort into their game to understand patience, especially as a younger player. But um, at this point, going through college, battling some adversity, leaning on other people, hearing other people's testimonies, I think you understand that He always has a better plan than what we have for ourselves.
Right.
And we got to, and me and my mom talk about it all the time. We got to stop reaching for the pen, and we just got to let him write the story.
Mm.
But patience is so key, especially at this level. So many great players, so many coaches, so many decisions that get made, and it's not always gonna be a big reason to why you're not getting the opportunity or not in a position that you hoped you would be in. Sometimes
Mm.
it just takes some time to work out, and that's okay. Just as long as you continue to do your part and continue to improve and stay in the word and continue to work on your game and ask questions and learn from the people that are getting the opportunity. So that way you're that much more prepared when it is your time.
Absolutely, man. All right, so I want to get back into Colorado State, and obviously we talked about it in the recruiting process. You choose Colorado State over SMU, Mississippi State. But what was the final factor and why you said, okay, I want to go to Colorado State? Niko Medved, obviously you're a guy growing up from Texas. Why was Colorado State that school? You said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I want to play there.
It's all the people. And I've told them this, I've told this story to a million people that when I went up for my workout, or not my workout, on my visit,
Right.
they had so many guards at the time the year before. Ones, twos, combos. I didn't really understand how the transfer thing worked. I didn't know people were going to be in and out. Like there
Hmm.
can be a lot of turnover from one year to the next, but I just felt so at home, so at peace with them. Even on my visit, my mom and my pops were like, "Man, it's like we're at a family dinner. The way everyone's just talking, joking, connecting. Like it was a great time." And I only took one official visit. I took a couple unofficials, but when that school year started at the beginning of my senior year, and I took that official, I was like, "Yeah, this is where I want to be." They care about you, and the one thing that I always give them credit about is they were the only school where I talked to every coach on the staff more than one time,
Mm.
and that really helped them separate from a lot of different people, whether it was the associate head coach all the way down to the newest assistant. I talked to everybody, and
Mm.
so I think that was something that really helped separate them.
I'm glad you brought that apart up because I was not aware of that aspect. But what is obvious from the outside looking in is what Niko Medved built. Now he's going to be at Minnesota, which I'll ask you about in a second here. But you talk about just what he built at Colorado State. Colorado State has some history, but obviously nowhere near what you guys accomplished. This was the glory days of Colorado State, which you guys were a part of. Like just looking at the players, yourself, Niku, Roddy, all John Tonje, all you guys are now in the NBA today. So many different things happen that typically were not going to happen in most schools with a situation, whether it be funding, conference, whatever it is at Colorado State. He built them. There's always was something so special about that team out there. So when you talk about the culture that he built at Colorado State, how did he do that, and just what made that culture so special there?
Well, I think it starts with not skipping steps. We
Mm.
knew what it was the year we came in as freshmen. The year before, they had only won 12 games. We knew that we wanted to be something different. They preached that in recruiting, that we're not playing the losing game or anything like that. Like we're trying to get guys in here that are willing to compete and help change the narrative about Colorado State basketball. And so we bought into it and we believed and we went to work. And so Coach Niko is a great motivator. He's a great person. Like he has a unique way of connecting with people from all different walks of life.
Mm.
But his staff was just as great, all four assistants, the equipment staff, the team managers, the dobos, like everybody was on one page, at least during my time there, that I just really appreciated the way he built that program. And I'll always have a lot of love and pride in Colorado State solely because of the way that he built the program from the ground up. And hopefully we can keep it going under Coach Ali. So that'll be cool.
So that's what I want to touch up on now. And the big thing is this: looking at it from a college basketball scene overall, I've always said that there was two coaches Minnesota need to hire, whether that be Niko Medved or Brian Dutcher from San Diego State. Both guys are from Minnesota, had Minnesota ties, and historically wanted the job. For some reason, they never wanted to give it to them until this time around. So for
Right.
Niko Medved, he's going back home. I know he wants that job, and I think obviously it's an incredible opportunity. I think it's a great spot for him as well. But before you ask about him, I always was confident that Colorado State could still sustain it. 'Cause I love what Coach Ali has been able to build. I think he's a phenomenal coach too. You know what he's been like. You've been a player in his system. You've understood what he's like as a coach. How excited should Colorado State fans be for now this next era under him?
Oh, super excited. I think he's somebody that can also really recruit, really
Mm,
connect with players. So being able to get talent, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy in today's climate, but he
yeah,
will be able to get players. I do definitely believe that. But the one thing about him that might get swept under the rug from time to time, just because not too many people are aware of the assistant coaches and their impact, is how much better players will get under his reign or whatever you want to call it, under
right.
his coaching. He puts in so much time, and obviously at the head, he won't be on the floor as much anymore. But all of his coaches underneath him will understand what it means to help players get better, to put time in, and what improvement really looks like. Because he's done it and he studies it and he writes it all down and he makes sure that everything we're working on has a purpose. And I appreciate him so much for that. So I'm definitely going to be excited to see how their players improve, especially the younger ones that they have coming in. We got a chance to go up there and see them earlier in the summer. So I'm going to be definitely tuned in. And Coach Ali definitely has a good blueprint.
All right, so do you think there's going to be a lot of changes? Because obviously, he's learned from Medved for a long time now, but he's taking over. And if so, what changes do you think he's going to make in terms of whether it be a culture, style, systematically, whatever it is? Or will it be pretty much the exact same thing that we've been seeing for the past 4, 5, 6 years now?
I think it'll have its own flair.
Okay.
Also, at the same time, if you know what works, it'll be good to take some things from that, if you ask me.
Right.
But they collaborated so much that it might look similar, especially early on, but they both adjust so well to what they'll have.
Hmm.
Coach Medved obviously has his style, and that's been his bread and butter for a while now. But I feel like even he's evolved from when I first got there to the time that I left, and
Okay.
even after me now. Like they do such a good job of understanding their personnel and what they have and strengths and weaknesses, and they'll make the tweaks that they have to. And I think Ali is going to be the same way.
Now, it sounds pretty much like you're pretty confident that overall Coach Ali is going to have this program still continuing to run in the glory days. Is that correct then?
Absolutely, yeah, man. We're gonna win games at Colorado State. We're gonna continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the Mountain West or the Pac-12
Yep.
now. Yep. But yeah, man, I'm rooting for them.
All right. Well, now I want to fast forward and go talk about Niko Medved. Obviously, him getting that job, I said, has to be special for him. I know he's excited for that job. How excited should Minnesota fans be to now have him as their head coach?
They should be through the moon, especially. I know it's been a couple rough years of just some inconsistencies. They've actually had some pretty solid teams, but just pretty up and down in
Yeah.
the years past. But Coach Niko is a winner. He's a culture builder. He's done it at so many different schools. Just look at his resume. He has a unique ability of connecting in his own way with players separate from Ali, which is why I think they'll both be so great. He has Coach Thorson on staff, Coach Cooley, a bunch of people that I've played for that are also great people, great communicators, great coaches. So they'll definitely be able to go out there and find the players that they need and put out a good product.
All right. So the big thing is that Minnesota has not made the tournament 2018-19 season. How quickly do you think he can get them in a position where they can snap that drought?
Man, I hope this year
All
it'll
right.
be a different look in Minnesota. Now the Big Ten is a bear, but
Hmm.
I know how he is, man. He's competitive. He's fiery. He's not gonna just sit back and let things be if it's not working. Now, does that mean year one? I hope so, but we don't
Right.
know that. But I definitely think within the next few years, like there'll be a team to be concerned about in the Big Ten.
All right, one other aspect I have to ask you about, and obviously this is probably a question would be better asked to Niko, but you now experience the way he recruits, and you've talked about that many different times. He didn't recruit a lot of guys that were highly ranked recruits, that were top ranked portal guys. Colorado State probably couldn't get a lot of those type of dudes, but he
Right.
found yourself, an NBA player at a high school at 3-star. David Roddy, very similar story. John Tonje, very similar story as well. Nick Hugh got him in the transfer portal after he was a well regarded recruit, but didn't pan out Colorado originally. he finds so many great players that have such high ceilings that other people in the world just don't see. How does he do that? And what's it like just being a part of a coach that can identify talent the way that he does?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is he recruits to what he wants in his program.
Mm-hmm.
We have a unique play style under Coach Niko, which is all about skill, and obviously athleticism is important, but skill, feel, touch, IQ, like different
Yeah.
things like that that go beyond just running and jumping. That I think he always ends up finding some players that are slipping through the cracks that, like myself, might not be the most athletic, or like David, who might be a tweener in positions coming out of high school. Is he big? Is he a guard? Is he a wing? He can do
Right.
it all. At the end of the day, he's a good player. So if you can get him, you'll figure it out. And I think that's the approach that they took. And I say we because that's forever my coach. We've always just found a way to find success with hungry, underrated guys, and I don't think that'll change.
All right, so you wrap your college career, and I'm just going to list this off as just a few of the stats that you broke. All-time leader in scoring, 2,350 points. All-time leader in assists, 863. All-time leader in steals, 158. Among many other records, I said this list could go on quite a bit, but those three are the biggest ones. If I were told freshman Isaiah Stephen that you are going to go down as debatably, in my opinion you are, but debatably one of the best players in this history of the entire school, probably even the history of Mountain West as well, let's throw that in there. Did you ever expect that to be the case?
Nah, man, I wasn't playing for that.
Mm-hmm.
The assist record I was gunning for as a
Okay.
freshman, and I actually had that pretty well documented with Coach Ali and Coach Medved. That was the only thing I was concerned about, was finding ways to impact the game in the best way I knew how,
Mm,
and that was playmaking and facilitating at that time. The scoring came a little bit later, and obviously I had some things to work on defensively early on, and it all kind of came full circle. But yeah, man, I was definitely pleased with the way my career ended. I wish I would have won the Mountain West Championship and a few more games in the tournament, but
yeah.
hey, man, we can't have it all. So I was definitely I was definitely pleased with the way my career ended.
99.9% of people don't even break one school record. You broke multiple of them, three big ones right there I just listed.
Yeah.
Which one of those were your favorite one, the most memorable to yourself, which is the most special? Which one would it be?
Man, probably the scoring record.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had no idea that that was even a possible thing. And
Hmm.
then when you get right up to it, you're just thinking about every shot and putting too
Yep.
much pressure on everything. And then when you finally get it, it's just this big relief. And you kind of remember that moment or that shot forever. I made mine on a free throw, and I can remember the free throw like it was yesterday. So
Hmm.
I'll probably say that one. The assist one is pretty clear too. It was up in Wyoming uh, during my fourth year, so I remember that one pretty well too. But yeah, probably the scoring record.
I wanted to ask for the scoring aspect because we've seen it before. I think a couple years back with the Aaron Judge home run situation, he couldn't hit a home run for like 3 weeks before he finally broke the record there. Then you talk about Caitlin Clark, I know she struggled a little bit leading into hers. And it seems to be a very similar thing that when you do approach that scoring record specifically, there's a lot more stuff going through your mind overall. Kind of walk us through that aspect. I know you kind of hinted at that a little bit there.
Yeah.
What were those, 2 or 3 games leading up to the time where you actually broke the record, like from a mental standpoint?
Right, and I was a little bit ways away. Uh, But then you end up having like a 15-point game, a 20-point game, and now you're starting to just knock it out in these like big chunks.
Hmm.
And then eventually you get right up on it and you can't buy a bucket. So uh, the fact that I was able to get it on a free throw, I actually played really good. That game was against Loyola Marymount at
Hmm.
Loyola. Uh, and just the game before didn't really feel too fluid, but that game I just came out, made my first shot, made my second shot, and then we was off to the races after that. And I probably wasn't even gonna get that game, but yeah, I just ended up flowing and ended up making some shots, so it ended up working out.
So do you have the total number you're at then kind of the back of your head as you're kind of going point by point then?
I did for a little bit, and then I had to get rid of it. I had to
Yeah.
get rid of it because even after games, people would come up and be like, "Hey, man, you only need 60 more points, or you're like 41 away, like you're almost there, keep going, all this and all that. So, um, yeah, I had to change the way I was thinking there for a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, I want to kind of go back into a couple of different things specifically in your college career before we head into the NBA standpoint. And that's when you go into your freshman year. Like you said, you're going into a situation as a freshman, not high ranked, all these different aspects, and yet you get held the reins as a starting point guard right out the gate. Was that shocking to yourself, or did you expect to be able to go win that job right out the gate?
Nah, it was shocking.
Okay.
I remember I went to lunch with Coach Niko when he told me I was going to be the starting point guard, and I knew I had played pretty well to that point, but we had some older guards too, and I didn't know what route he was going to take it all.
Mm-hmm.
Because he also had a pretty good poker face in college. You never felt like you had arrived or you were playing super great early on, so you just came in every day ready to work. But when he told me that and that I was going to be the starting point guard, he also followed that up by saying, and he wants it to stay that way for the duration of my career, and hopefully he doesn't have to go get a new point guard for a long time to come. So that gave me a lot of confidence, and it just in that moment showed how much belief and trust he had in me, uh, an 18-year-old sitting here getting handed the keys to a Mount West team that's trying to turn this thing around. So
Mm-hmm.
I was excited.
How much more sweet does it make everything you accomplished at Colorado State, knowing that you went into a situation that was a rebuild, knowing that you went into a situation they were trying to rebuild this program, get it going again, and then you look at, yes, you had all the personal accolades in the world we just talked about, but on top of that, this was the glory days I keep talking about. This was an era where you guys made tournaments, made runs. How much more special does that make it?
I think it's the icing on the cake.
Mm,
I loved my college experience, but it would be nothing about without the team aspect, without the relationship aspect, because we knew just how hard it was to find the success that we found and building it from the ground up. Nobody believing in you. Then you get to the top, and everybody's gunning for you, and then you have a good team, and you're right in the middle, but they don't know just quite how good you are. Like we lived it all. And
right.
so during that run, man, it was fun. Definitely looking back, I miss it, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I have no regrets. So,
When you look back at all the games you played throughout your college career, which one's your favorite one?
man, favorite moment, favorite game. It's hard not to say when we came back from 27 down at Viejas during COVID. John
Yeah.
Tajay hit a 4-point play that sealed it for us. We were dead to rights, and it was somehow, some way, we found a way to keep going. That was up there, and then we beat Creighton when they were number 8 in the country. The neutral site game, that one is also up there. There's many more in the middle of that. But on a personal note, my 4th year at UNLV, have 30 some points, but I hit some crazy shot from half court to send it in overtime, and then in overtime hit a step back for the game winner. It was just it was just some crazy stuff you can't make up.
I also have to ask you your favorite story, Coach Niko Medved, on the court, off the court, locker room, whatever it is. What's your favorite memory with him?
Ah man, he used to always come up with these sayings. Like every year, he would always have like different stories or everything. But we were in the Cayman Islands, I believe, as a freshman, and we were going to a practice at some little school on the island, and the power was out. We were practicing in the dark, and he always just used to yell out like, "We need to be like a cockroach." And we were like, "What is that? Like, what does that even mean? Like, why are you trying to be like a bug or some that's just actively trying to be killed by people? Like, why do you want that?" He was just like, they always adapt to their surroundings, their environment. No matter what life throws at them, they always find a way to continue to push forward. And so that was something that stuck with me a lot. That's one of my favorite stories because we're in a gym in the middle of an island with no power, and everybody's like confused and pissed off, and he's the only one walking around with a smile on his face, acting like this is the best thing ever for us to get practice in a dark gym.
I love it. Well, I got one final Colorado State question for you, and it's this. I talked about the fact that I think it's very debatable that you are the best player in Colorado State history. We know you wore that jersey pretty proudly out there. Is there
Yeah.
any chance, any discussions that we could possibly hear about that number 4 jersey getting officially retired anytime soon?
Man, I have no idea. Hopefully one day that would be cool. Definitely, like if you're in a position for it, who wouldn't want that? But
Right.
um, it's definitely hard to call. That's on the university and the athletic department to make that decision. So
Hmm.
hopefully one day. I don't know when it'll be. I haven't even had too many talks about it, so we'll
Okay.
see.
What would it mean to you if that day does come?
I mean everything. It means that you left obviously a lasting impression, but there's a legacy there that will be here long after I'm gone.
Hmm.
So I think that definitely means that you impacted people in a positive way. You impacted a program in a positive way, so much so to the point that they want your number to never be worn again by anybody else. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's head into the NBA draft process for yourself because you wrap up this incredible college career and you go through this process. Obviously, I know you had lots of workouts, a very hectic process for yourself. What was that pre-draft process like, though, for yourself last year?
Man, it was tiring. I'll say that, but it was a blessing though. You get to go to all these facilities, meet all these different people, and literally just compete for your livelihood. It's a unique feeling. It could be stressful at times, especially talking to other people about how they experienced it.
Right.
I think that's a pretty universal feeling for somebody that's trying to figure it out from the ground up. Obviously, you have some people that are a little bit more secure in their journey, but for a guy like me with so much uncertainty and you got to go out there and prove it every day, it can definitely be a lot at times. But what else would you rather be doing than
Hmm.
competing for a chance to play in the best league ever? So yeah, it was fun. It was competitive, um, and it was definitely an experience I wouldn't forget.
All right, so we talk about overcoming the doubters, overcoming the obstacles, and you kind of went through that once again. You know, you go and drafted in the NBA draft, and some guys do get that two-way right away. You had to work for yourself for it. You got the Exhibit 10, and you work yourself up to a two-way contract. When you talk about that, I'm sure that had to be a little bit stressful in the back of your mind. How are you handling, that time span from June draft time to when you had officially signed? I think it was December 26th, 27th, somewhere right around then when you signed the two-way contract.
Uh,
What was that 6 months or so like when you kind of had so much uncertainty about your career?
I think for me, when I found out that I wasn't getting drafted, which I didn't have high expectations for it anyway, which was fine.
Mhm.
And then I also got to pick my situation. I think that was huge for me. Easton, two-way, I just wanted a foot in the door and just to be able to get a real opportunity to go out there and play. And Miami allowed me that opportunity, so I'll forever be grateful for that. They said it from the jump, everything will be earned and received through competition. And
Mhm.
I think that's something that I really respected and I appreciated. And so as I continue to push forward through that summer league and through that training camp and through that preseason, I wasn't even worried about what deal I was on. I was just glad I had an opportunity to go out there and play and just to
Mhm.
put my best foot forward. And who knows, you're auditioning for a multitude of teams and you never know who's watching. So you just try to do the best that you can.
We've talked about how successful you've been winning games in college career. You also did the same thing in high school. But then we look at your first time in the NBA, Summer League. You win the championship. You obviously this last year you go and lose in the championship. You win so many games in this entire time in the Summer League. What are these first two Summer League experiences been like for yourself?
They've been great. Obviously, everybody probably can't say the same. To be on two different teams and playing the championship both times, and I've only lost one game so far. To some people, that might not mean a lot, but for me, like you're going out here trying to impact winning, that means a lot. Obviously, it takes a team to do so, and I wasn't the leading scorer by no means or anything like that, but everybody has a role to play. And so I knew I was going to get a chance to be myself and be a point guard and help run the show on both teams. And I was excited to do that and for us to come out and play really well both summers with Miami and with Sacramento this year. That was a pretty cool feeling.
All right, so I want to walk through a little bit more in depth your beginning portions of your rookie season. You obviously go and draft from the NBA draft, sign the Exhibit 10 contract, and then you end up getting waived, playing the G League for quite some time. Then you get promoted in December, right around Christmas time, to the two-way contract. When that finally happens, right around Christmas time, and you find out that you're going to actually be a part of the NBA, you're signing your first NBA contract officially to be on a roster. What did that mean to you?
Man, I was at a loss for words. I was shocked. I was just in a great feeling of gratitude and appreciation for all the hard work and tough times that we have been through with me and my family, just my career. And it all kind of felt like in that moment it was all worth it. Now that'll continue to grow as time does, but in that moment it felt like the biggest accomplishment that I had to that point. And now, obviously, there's bigger and better on the horizon that we're pushing for. But at that time, that was pretty special.
What would you say is the biggest lessons you learned from your rookie year in the NBA?
Man, patience. We talked about it earlier, but it's so much more that goes into it than just being good at basketball. Everybody at this level can play. It all
Right.
depends on what teams are looking for, what they want, what they need. There's even an aspect of who they need to see early on, so it might not be your time just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But staying ready, staying disciplined, and it's hard to do, but that's what the job requires. So patience, I would say, is the biggest thing. And I'm still being patient. Obviously, I'm still on a two-way now.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, it's probably going to be some other guards that are going to get an opportunity, but you never know when your number is going to be called.
Right.
You just got to stay ready, continue to practice well, show everything that you can, and then when it's your time, just go out there and let it rip.
And for Miami specifically at that point in time, the transition, the travel is pretty significant going from the G League to the NBA team.
Man,
How was that transfer? I mean, you obviously had to go play one place. You're back in with Miami. He getting called up back and forth. All this stuff's happening. What was that like for yourself, and how did you deal with that hectic schedule?
yeah, that was very unique. There's also no straight flights from Miami to Sioux Falls, so you definitely learn how to pack light, how to pack efficiently, be ready at the drop of a hat to fly across the country. So definitely learned a lot through that. I appreciated that experience up in
Mm,
Sioux Falls. Great staff, great people. They have a great fan base. And unless you're really up there to like see it, it's hard to understand why they would have a team up there.
mm,
But as you spend some time, you start to get it a little bit more, and it gives you an appreciation for the NBA lifestyle too, because you got to grind in the G League.
mm-hmm. I know so many people you see in the NBA have had to go through the G League process, and obviously, so many guys have been so successful out of the G League. What about the G League kind of helps prepare you for the NBA and help grow you as a person, as a player throughout year one? Now, helping you get ready. I'm sure you're still going to spend a lot of time this year too, but still kind of helping you getting ready for your future in the NBA.
Yeah, I think understanding how to lead people that are all gunning for the same thing. But at
Mm,
the same time, we all have to understand where we are right now. And so, how can we make the best of that situation?
okay.
We all trying to make it to the NBA. We're all trying to get caught up. We're all trying to make more money, get a better opportunity, whatever the case may be. But we're all in the G League right now. So, what can
Mhm,
we do right now to help our situation be the best that it can be? And I learned that from guys like Tony Snell, Nasir Little, just people that had experienced it on both sides before. And it was some ups and downs with that, but at the same time, uh, keeping everybody on one page, pulling in one direction, it ain't easy. But if you can do it, then a lot more people start to find success that way.
All right, so we hop into now this past season, off season, and you obviously end up signing with Sacramento now. How did this come to be, and why you decided to go with Sacramento?
Man, I think that was just the best opportunity for me to continue to progress my career. Uh, they had a new front office come in, new coaching staff,
Right.
and I just felt like it was a great opportunity for me to just get a breath of fresh air, maybe get in front of some new eyes. and also just continue, like I said, to push my career along. It's hard to be in one spot forever, especially as
Yep.
a young player. So much turnover. So I appreciated Miami a lot for taking a chance on me early on. Uh, but yeah, now it's on to Sacramento, and I'm excited to see how this plays out.
I look at the depth chart, and obviously for yourself, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen, so it might be a little tough position in that aspect. But still, there is a lot of opportunity and potential at the guard spot, specifically in Sacramento. When you talk about staying ready, because you don't know what's going to happen, there could be minutes to open up at some point in the year. How do you keep yourself always locked in? Because obviously, right now, you're on the two-way, so on and so forth, but still staying prepared for when or if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just taking all these practice days as game days, playing hard, competing, pushing the starters, pushing the rotation guys. Uh, and if you got an opportunity to beat them, then beat them. Go out there and compete. And I think our training camp has really shown that. Like, we have a lot of depth, we have a lot of talent. So I'm excited to see what this season has in store. But in terms of staying ready, I think that's just a part of the business. Unless you don't care about your opportunity, which I know I do. So I'm gonna do my best to stay as prepared as I can.
You had a lot of great minds to pick when you were in Miami. Now you come into a Sacramento situation where you have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Dennis Schroeder's there right now as well. Obviously, it's a bonus to other people as well, but I'm talking specifically at the guard spot. How much have you been able to learn from those guys in this first couple of weeks now of being a part of the team?
Yeah, man, they've been great. They've been very open and vocal with the young guys. They have taken so much pride, I think, or I feel, in making sure that we're building this thing the right way. Uh, they want a fresh start from last year. Obviously, we got a lot of new players coming in from wherever we're coming from. And we're taking a lot of pride and ownership in what we're building right now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I've been talking to Dennis a lot. Obviously, he's a 13 year NBA vet, has seen it all, has competed at a high level, has played in a multitude of roles. So that's somebody that I've really been trying to pick his brain and see what he thinks about different situations and just learn from. And even just competing against them, you start to pick up things as you're playing. It might not always be a conversation. So that's been pretty cool too.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from Dennis Schroeder so far?
I think pace. That's somebody who can probably run by anybody in the NBA, but very rarely does he touch that top gear. Obviously, it's still the preseason, but we had a conversation about how he likes to change that up just over the course of games. And he was like, a few times a game, he'll flip that switch on just to keep people honest. But you always want to be under control. You never want to let the defense dictate how you want to play. And so I think as a point guard that's trying to run the show and be in control of the game, I think that's huge.
A couple things before I let you guys in. One of which is this. I kind of purposely brushed over him a little bit when we were talking about Colorado State teammates, and that's Niku, who is now your teammate in the NBA. How special is that being reunited with him now?
Man, it's really special. When we were at Colorado State, we spent a lot of time together.
Hmm.
Now that we're back in Sacramento, we spend a lot of time together. We talk every day. Like, this is somebody that I can really go to for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I know he's gonna keep it real, and vice versa. So we definitely leaned on each other a lot during this time as I'm transitioning from one situation to another as a free agent and as he's coming in as a draft pick with expectations. I think it's been cool for us to learn this city of Sacramento together, man. It's been all right.
As for the coaching staff, obviously it happened obviously in the early portions of last year, but now he's officially the head coach, Coach Christie. As you've been able to learn from him a little bit, what's it been like learning from him?
Yeah, man, he's awesome. He's funny as all get out, but he also has a switch, a competitive switch that I really admire.
Hmm.
And you can also tell how competitive he used to be as a player because every now and then he flips that switch all the way on, and he'll show you a closeout, or he'll show you a drive, or
Hmm.
he'll show you a couple slides just to let you know he still got it. He's hopped in some workouts with us, like
Okay.
boxing, then ran the beat. Like, that's somebody that's really in the fight with you, and I think you don't find that everywhere.
Hmm.
And the fact that we do have it, I hope that's to our advantage.
All right, now for fans that are tuning in right now, and they maybe aren't familiar with you, they haven't watched college basketball film, they haven't watched G League film, but they're wondering, okay, we know it's Isaiah Stevens, he's on the roster. What are you bringing to the team? They might be asking. How would you answer that?
Yeah, man, I bring energy, pace, playmaking. I'm a true point guard, so I like to run the show, get guys involved, make other players' lives easy. I can also score at all three levels, and
Mm-hmm.
then just a tenacity defensively that I know is asked of me, and I also just love to play with, make other guys' lives tough, and just compete and be a little bit of a pest out there.
All right, so if I were to say in 1 year, if we talk again, and I know we talked in the very beginning, everything you accomplished in 4.5 years, but if we were talking 1 year from now, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get done? What's the position you want to be in 1 year from now? Like, what a perfect dream scenario for Isaiah Stevens in the next 365 days. What would that look like?
Man, a perfect dream scenario. Hopefully on a standard deal,
Mm-hmm.
being able to play uh, minutes in the NBA on a night in night out basis. Just taking that next step in my career, I think that'll be awesome.
I love it. Well, Isaiah, I've got one final question for you. It's the question I wrap up every interview with, and that's talking about your legacy. Obviously, you're still just early in your basketball career, but when you do put the ball down one day in the future, what do you want to be remembered for what you accomplished and got done both on and off the court in your life?
Man, I think somebody that understands that he did not get here on his own.
Mm,
That there is a man up above who guided him each and every step of the way. Also, somebody who takes great pride in making other job and making other people's lives easier.
mhm.
Somebody that takes a lot of pride in being there for other people, and somebody that takes a lot of pride in competing at a very high level in everything that he does. Puts winning above all. So I think that's hopefully what people remember me by.
Absolutely, Isaiah. I love that, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man. It's been a blessing, honor having you back on the show, and I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. God bless.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless you as well.